Hey, what's up, fam? It's your girl Tanya, and tonight I want to run through, if you feel you need to really build up your self-belief, I want to share with you today 3 steps on how to build your self-belief after years of past failures, shutdowns, and beatdowns. Really huge topic I want to share with you, and I want to share it with you now. So if you want to receive these newsletters in your inbox every Monday at 7:45, 8 p.m., you can subscribe over at www.tanyasilva.com. So today's really about 3 steps on how to build self-belief regardless of how much you failed or been set back or beat down or shut down. And these are just 3 segments that I need to remind myself of, as well as some of the things that I teach my students or people that I come across. So the other day, over the weekend, I went and visited, I went to Tampa, and there was somebody that really wanted to know about how do I build self-belief when I failed so many times that I don't believe in myself anymore. And I feel that this is such a powerful question that's asked. Not just the usual, like, yes, think positive and, manifestation and the universe and energy. And while I think all that stuff is great, there's a segment that isn't often talked about, and that's blockages, or, you've tried so many times and you have not been successful in this area, and so you just feel defeated. And so, especially if you've tried your hardest multiple times in the past and just feel disappointed and like a complete failure and just defeated. And then it's like, why even bother? I totally understand when you're just kind of like anticipating that same old undesired outcome. It's almost like, okay, here I go again, and this is already what's going to happen, and you already know it, and so you're pre-assuming what's going to happen. And so I get it. And I want to address 2 parts to this before getting into the 3 steps. And the first part is there are multiple paths to your end destination, and most of the time we're just not on the right path. So you have your end destination and you have all these different paths to end here. And the biggest thing of that end destination is getting crystal clear on the intrinsic, I call that your North Star, your body goals, specifically talking about the body, like that North Star, those body goals, and then aligning it and working backwards, which we're going to talk later, and that's step 3 of that specific segment. So just know there's multiple paths. There's not just one path to get to that end destination, and sometimes we're just not on the right path. And also the second is self-belief is really about self-trust. It's about learning how to get on your own winning team, not just on your team, but on your own winning team, and learning how to really, like, mentally, physically, and emotionally get on your own winning team. Also, I almost did name today's subject title as 3 ways to getting on your own winning team, but I figured it would be a lot better if I just said 3 steps to build self-belief after years of past failures, shutdowns, and beatdowns. Probably get a larger opening up rate versus the other one. So the 3 steps are going to be, before we get into them, is number 1, self-care is non-negotiable. Self-care encompasses food, exercise, habits, behaviors, your routine, your morning routine, your night routine, and what you're putting in that in-between stuff. Second is positive expectation versus negative expectation. And the third is focusing on what you want versus what you don't want. And that's usually the what is, the space that you're currently in right now. As you know, a lot of my blogs are in relation to the body. The body is the symptom, not the cause. And of course, you can apply these to any other area of your life. So, number 1, self-care needs to become a non-negotiable, especially when it comes to self-trust. And really, self-belief comes down to the nitty-gritty of trusting yourself, right? So if you don't trust yourself, why would you bother doing things? And I find that was like one of my biggest lessons, but one of my biggest things I had to work on is learning to trust myself, especially after years of being a substance abuser and abusing my body, not treating myself right, and allowing other people to step all over me. So that was something that I really took me a long time to develop. And if I can do it, for sure you can do it. And I know that's so cliche to say, but it is possible, especially coming from a space of an extreme. So how can you trust someone or something when there's a disconnect? Well, self-care really consists of 3 main segments, and that's food, exercise, and overall habits and behaviors. Those are more like your routines on autopilot. 40% of our day is run on automatic, which is known as habits. It's just effort on autopilot. And when you can kind of get your habits and your behaviors to work for you versus against you, that's just 40% of your day just goes on that automatic system. But we want to make sure that our habits are in alignment to where we want to go, right? We don't want them working against us. So I wrote about this in a previous blog, the 6 steps of the F-It mindset. It was one of my favorites. It brought so much clarity, and I got a lot of that from the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. And I kind of just narrowed it down into 6. And so I'm going to recap them with you because it's so important. And this is why self-care really is the first step to building that self-belief and that self-trust, because it helps you reconnect with you, and it provides you the tools of getting on your own winning team, mentally, physically, and emotionally. So physical dis-ease is really about not taking care of your body. Perhaps you're substance abusing. Hey, Kevin, what's going on? Perhaps it's with food, alcohol, not exercising, making you mentally dull. Being mentally dull, you begin to doubt everything. And when you doubt things, you become careless. And why would you do something or attempt to do something if you don't believe you can succeed or achieve whatever you're attempting, right? Like, why would I do this if I don't believe I can do it? It's kind of like, as we talked about in step 2, about that negative expectation. 6 is about, creates that lazy attitude, and the mind loses interest and alertness towards higher goals, which are mostly set on extrinsic outcome results versus intrinsic, tangible daily goals that lead to the outcome goals. Then this leads to the discouragement, and since the mind seeks pleasure and instant gratification, right, it runs towards sensual enjoyment, which is what still leads us in that stuck F-It mindset. This is the biggest reason why the self-care and you learning how to take care of yourself, why it's so significant as far as you becoming mentally and emotionally healthy, strong, and connected to yourself, trusting yourself, believing in yourself. So when all that stuff happens, right, those 6 steps of the stuck cycle or the F-It mindset, we crave instant gratification, right? We thrive off of getting that high when we're on that low. So this is where that sensual enjoyment, we use food, we use alcohol or drugs or television, anything that stimulates your senses to avoid dealing with intense negative emotions, anything you've been using as a crutch to stimulate your senses, leaving you disconnected from operating and functioning at your best self, meaning just you operating and showing up in your life at your peak performance, right? So that's what that is about. That's why I feel that self-care and just seeing this everywhere is really the foundation to really teaching you how to reconnect with you, trusting yourself and believing in yourself. Now we're getting to step 2. Step 2 is about positive expectations versus negative expectations, and this is something that I still work hard on, and I definitely was one of my biggest setbacks was always expecting the negative to happen. I think just based on past experiences, which can really happen. And so I want to just say, like, so this weekend I went with one of my good friends over to Tampa, and there was this part where, you know, he wanted to help his friend out and connect him with somebody, and she was an amazing singer. And she, you know, I picked up the vibe that, you know, sometimes you go to like all these auditions and you're just really trying to shine your light and get your talents and your gifts and your greatness out into the world. And so many times in life you can just be like pushed down, shoved, shut down, made it so close and then didn't make it to that last end step. And it can really make you feel defeated at times, or you start to go to something that might be similar to a past experience, or you might have tried something, maybe example for your body goals, maybe you're trying a program or going down a path that might have been similar to a last one, and it's like you have this negative expectation because you've created an attachment to what happened in your past experience, right? So are you following along? Thumbs up if you are, thumbs down if you're not. So regardless of what you've done in the past and what experiences you've had, you can't allow that to affect your future decision-making process as to whether or not you continue to show up for you. This isn't about showing up thinking you already know the outcome. It's showing up with a positive expectation that maybe this is the time. Maybe this is my time. Maybe those other times were just practice because it was either a blessing or a lesson. I don't look at failure as a fail. I think of if I stop trying, I failed. But if I keep trying and I keep showing up as my best and giving my best and giving 100% of what I'm capable of giving in that moment of time, then at least I'm going to learn something from it or get a little more piece of information of what I need for the next time I try. Or maybe it ends up working out, and it becomes a blessing. So showing up isn't enough. And somebody said this to me the other day, like, okay, well, if I just show up, okay, that's one of two parts. It's not enough though. Show up and give your 100%. Now, remember, your 100% today might be different than what your 100% was 2-3 days ago or 2-3 weeks ago, or maybe 2 to 3 weeks from now. It's always constantly changing depending on what's going on outside of you and what's going on inside of you, right? And as far as like how you're taking care of yourself, your environment, what's going on, how you're, all these other things that we're talking about. But just know that if you really give your 100% is when you can receive 100%. So, what if it does work this time? What if I do this and it does work? Really just trying to change that mindset of that positive expectation. The mind can easily get in our way and shut us down. We can shut ourselves down based on past experiences, setbacks, and failures. So whatever you're going to do it with positive energy. Let go of past judgment based on past experiences. There's no such thing as wasted time. I think this is one of the biggest pain points for me and a lot of people that I work with. The only wasted time is if you're not fully showing up and giving your 100%. That's the only time is wasted. All right, so just remember that. So a fun little picture I made here a while ago. It was a big hit, and I wanted to share it again. Something I know for sure is that there's nothing wrong with you. You're not broken. You don't need to be fixed. You most definitely do not need to change. You don't need to change your body or the way that you look. But if you don't like the way that you feel in your body, then it's more than okay to make that change. It's time to give yourself permission to look, feel, and show up in your day-to-day life as your best self. And to believe in yourself and to learn how to trust yourself, because this is a skill set and it's something that can be learned. And that's sharing 3 tips with you today. So step number 3 is focusing on what you want versus what you don't want. The don't want most likely is the what is, the situation you're in right now. I teach a course called Body Goals. It's a Body Goals workshop. And it's based on setting intrinsic goals that are within your control based on how you want to feel, and versus the extrinsic goals, which are the most common way of how we're taught to goal set and how we're taught to measure our goals. They're more outcome or the result of goals. So there's a segment where we dive deep into getting crystal clear on what we want. And most of the time we're just so focused on what we don't want and what's not working and the what is that you can't be in 2 spaces at the same time. You have to choose one. So if you're so caught up in generating all your energy and it's exhausting because it's draining and you're just so focused in on where you don't want to be and where you're at and, going back to that negative expectation, you get very discouraged, and that goes back to the top. If you're discouraged, then you seek out that, that instant gratification, and then we keep ourselves in this hamster wheel, and we're never breaking free. We're never making progress. We're just stuck in this little whirlwind. And so it's really important that, you have to remember, I have to choose one and get clear. It's great you know what you don't want, because knowing what you don't want brings clarity, not just clarity, but crystal clear clarity on where you want to go. And I did a workshop with one of my students today on exactly this, and it's just really, really powerful. So if you do want to learn how to set intrinsic goals, I have a course called Body Goals Workshop, and I can put the link over to the side. This is also in the newsletter. If you're in the newsletters, make sure to subscribe over at www.tanyasilva.com. And so that's why it's really, really important. So use it. There's never really a negative or wasted time. Remember, it's either a lesson or a blessing. So when to generate your energy towards what you want, this will keep you focused on the right path, regardless of the distraction. And it'll also give you great clarity on, am I on the right path? A lot of times we don't even know how to discern or to distinguish, wait a second, okay, I've chosen this course. Is this the right course for me? Is this path the right path I'm on? And when you get crystal clear on your intrinsic goals, your internal goal, you can then work backwards, because you're like, wait a second, is this allowing me to feel the way that I want to feel in my body, or how I want to feel in my business, or how I want to feel in blah, 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 my relationships. But the most important relationship is the relationship with self. So, that's really, really important. That's a whole nother topic. I'm going to say focus today, 1 point of focus, right? So, once you get clear on that North Star, the rest of the game is just working backwards, having that North Star, and then having that bridge to get you from where you are to where you want to be. So, the rest is just working backwards. If you still don't trust yourself, this was a big one for me, is if you still don't trust yourself along your path, your end goal, then trust yourself enough to know who to hire and that they're the right person to get you there. And then, I didn't put this in the newsletter, but this is so important. When you do hire a coach or somebody that you can trust to get you there, don't be jumping around from person to person or asking advice on that same topic from different people or different coaches, because you're going to create confliction of the mind, confliction in belief, confliction in this. So when you've done your research, you've done your homework, and you've hired the right person, me, I'll save you a lot of time and a lot of heartache, and I'll get you there fast as possible, without, of course, with sustainability and getting you in that end goal. Then at least stick with that and fully 2 feet in commitment, like not 1 foot in, 1 foot out, like 2 feet in commitment and go all out, right? So self-trust cannot exist if you're disconnected, neglecting, and or abusing the body, okay? So it does not exist. You have to, somebody's like, when I did my coaching today with one of my students, she's like, I have to fix this and I have to fix that. And it's like, it's so important to know, like, there's nothing broken. There's nothing to be fixed. There's just a disconnect. You're either connected or you're disconnected from self, right? So that the more you're connected, the more that you're taking care of yourself mentally, physically, emotionally, the more you're going to be able to trust yourself and believe in yourself and have the confidence you need to achieve any goal you set, right? So where we generate our energy and focus is who we become and how we show up in our life. 11 years ago, I made the decision to be happy and to feel good in my body today. I've been asked a couple times. I have a tattoo on my ring finger, all right? I don't really talk a lot about spirituality, but during that time, I was really involved in like the Christian church and stuff like that. And so I got this. This isn't a Pisces fish. This is the Jesus fish. And I got this when I surrendered to my addiction at the age of 22. And I just then started to fully commit. And yeah, it took a tattoo. I mean, it doesn't always take a tattoo, but I got a tattoo to consistently remind me. And then even when I don't remember, somebody always asks me, oh, what is that? What's that on your finger? And it constantly is a reminder of, trusting myself and reconnecting with myself and surrendering and just really, this was really about self-love. This was really about taking full responsibility for how I want to show up in my life, the type of person I want to become, how I can be of service to others. I can't be of service to you if I'm not taking care of myself. I can't be of service to you. I can't provide this type of content. I can't have the mental capacity or clarity to be able to deliver this depth of information if I'm not mentally sharp and on my A game, operating at my peak performance. And so that's really what I'm trying to express to you whenever I'm posting or live streaming or writing, or whether we're having a conversation, and just know that it's definitely easier said than done, but just remember, like, every single day counts. So like 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 over a course of time, over a year, equals 365 days, plus another 365 days, plus another 365 days. Those all add up, right? And then here I am 11 years later in the space that I'm in, because every single day I chose to show up for myself. Not tomorrow, not next month, not after, the wedding, not after the bar mitzvah, not after this, not after that. And then after that, just be like, oh, yay, it's done. And then, like, abuse, neglect, and disconnect from myself. Like, no, every single day I want to be connected. Every single day I want to show up. But I don't want to just show up. I want to show up as my best, right? And that's changing and shifting throughout time. So, and sometimes you have to, do other things like surpass your threshold and push yourself to become better, and personal growth and development. And, that's a whole nother blog as well. But these are really just, if you could start anywhere, start with these 3 steps, which are literally taking action as far as giving yourself permission to prioritize your self-care. Not just do your self-care, but prioritize your self-care every single day and make it a non-negotiable. This is you putting your oxygen mask on first so that you're able to be the best mom, the best dad, the best employee, the best CEO, the best whatever you're doing, to be the best at it. And you can't do that if you're not prioritizing your self-care and you're allowing it to be last on your list versus first. And if you don't know where to start, I am offering a free 25-minute coaching call. I do this for first-time people always. And also, if you want to do more self-study, I have a 21-day habit reset program here where you're getting your habits and your behaviors on your own team and having them, that 40% of that autopilot of those habits and behaviors, and to get them to work for you versus against you. All right. So when you make the positive shift, expect positive outcomes, starting to expect positive things to happen, and begin to focus on what you want versus what you don't want. The what is. All right. So I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below. Share this live stream if you found it valuable and you know that it can help others. Also, give it a like. Let me know you like today's live stream. I'll be doing them Mondays or Tuesdays. And in the meantime, give yourself permission to look, feel, and show up in your day as your best self. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next vlog. Bye.